Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video. And, oh, yes, you see the title, guys. Yes, it actually has happened. Well, sort of. So, I found this little post blog from Rooster Teeth's website from our good old buddy Ben Singer, you know, Mr. Death Battle host. So he answered a lot of questions in this that I've actually wanted him to answer for a long, 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 long time. And there are some things that he said that are wrong, but he did say some things in here that actually surprised me. And you know what? I got to give Ben some props here because I never thought he would answer some of these questions. He actually answered some questions that I actually would have asked him that I thought he would never answer. And he answered them. So, we're going to go through this entire thing. We're gonna go through the entire thing right now because I got it right here, guys. I got the whole thing, and also, I put the link in the description for you guys to look at it yourself as well. So you guys can, you know, read it up as well. But the link is in the description box, by the way. But we're gonna go through this right now. We're gonna go through this entire interview Q&A thing that he did here. So let's just talk about this right now. So he starts off with a nice intro. Okay, so he says, "Hello, my name is Ben B. Singer. I am the creator and the one of the hosts of Death Battle. Over the past couple of weeks, I have been writing up series of daily blogs covering episodes of Death Battle, as we need the big 100th one because of this matchup in particular. I expect that for many of you, this is the first time reading one of these Read to 100 blogs, and he's right, by the way, on that. I appreciate if you could read the other entries. So there is a link to the other entries, which I'll probably read up on other ones too, because there are some other battles that I'm intrigued to know as well. I'm interested to see if he actually wrote about Boo versus Kirby yet, or whatever. And Ichigo versus Naruto, by the way. But then again, that's under the new administration, so I'm still kind of upset about that bull crap. But let's get back to the paragraph here. But I know that a pretty big time investment, so for now I'll recap some of the important points in Death Battle's history that leads up to this. Don't worry, I'll be brief. Okay, so that's the end of his summary, his opening summary, basically. So now he's going to kind of get into the brief on, I guess, how Death Battle started. So here we go. I started Death Battle in December of 2010, and the first episode to really take off was Glurbeed versus Cobbin. I'm sorry if I said those names wrong. Gag episode. There wasn't anything like Death Battle at the time. Superpower Beatdown. Deadliest would like to have a word with you, by the way, on that. So Gubian versus Clarion success reformed my belief at the time that the versus community of the early 2010 wasn't large enough to substantiate a show like this, and Death Battle should instead be tolerated to a somewhat more casual audience, with victors chosen based on logic and opinions rather than calculations, and specifically science, that may overwhelm viewers. It worked and Death Battle thrived. However, if you've seen any of our episodes from the past few years, you know that the show's formula internally changed to one more heavily embraced in dedicated and mathematics, or deductions in mathematics. This all started when a dumb calculation in Zelda versus Peach, unsuccessfully played for laughs, gave me pause. I tried some new scripts and composed methods with episodes like Link versus Cloud and Batman versus Spider-Man, and at some point Wiz and Boomstick became pretty dickish for a while, all in preparing for the Titanic Goku versus Superman. So he kind of gets in how his calculations and his formulas were started. Which, by the way, Zelda versus Peach was pretty shitty, by the way, too, in terms of calculations and shit like that. Then they show a picture of Goku blocking a Superman punch in the animation there. So, yeah. So now we're going to get into, you know, the nitty-gritty stuff here. Again, by the way, I'm reading the full, you know, paragraph or essay or whatever you want to call it, thing here in order. So, we might be a while. That's why I decided to do this as a live stream, here. So we're gonna go through everything here. We're gonna go through everything here, by the way, for Goku versus Superman, that he covers. All in details, like I said. If you want to follow, link is in the description box. You know, where you can just read up on it yourself. Supposedly there are other entries as well that he has done, so there might be a death battle that you didn't like that you can read up on as well. I'll probably read up on them later, because right now I'm only interested in this one right now. But yeah. So let's get on with this further. So, all right, where were we? Okay, so we're on paragraph 3 here. Okay. I had always planned to do Goku versus Superman as the milestone 25th episode, which is true. That was pretty much, he had always said that he wanted to do Goku versus Superman. So that I believe. It was even listed as such in the original 26 episodes I had pitched to Screw Attack and Revive 3. When all this started, once my Death Battle schedule eased up after Mario vs. Sonic, I imagined begin working on this one on the side. I had Dragon Ball playing on my screen while I ate, or a Superman comic in one hand while I brushed my teeth with the others. It was a considerate part of my life for a year and a half. During this time, both of the films, Man of Steel and Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, were announced, despite both franchises having been basically dead for years in terms of mainstream experience. It was quite an ordeal, end quote. So he's basically talking about how he planned the Goku vs. Superman death battle, and then all of a sudden, like, there had been no new contents of Superman, there had been no new contents of Dragon Ball Z. So because of that, he decided, okay, we're going to do a death battle of this. But then, of course, all of a sudden, Man of Steel got a new film, and Dragon Ball Z got Battle of Gods. So, obviously. So that is what he's talking about, and so that is new content, obviously. And that is what he's basically talking about right now in this. So let's get to the. Should we go right to the? Yeah, we're gonna go right to the next one. Just let's see this right here. Okay. All right. So that was paragraph 3. Okay. So now the next thing he talks about here is for writing this episode, and again, and quote, by the way, guys, this is all this is everything Ben Singer has said. I am not reinterpreting his words any differently. I'm reading it exactly the way it is on the post. So I'm not trying to disturb anything or anything. I'm reading it exactly the way he has written it on here. For writing this episode, I reached out to several experts on Dragon Ball. Not really. Actually, no. Let me rephrase that. Not enough. Experts on Dragon Ball and DC Comics to make sure I had certain facts and thoughts right about the characters. Kaizenshu, Dio of Dragon Ball, Superman, Super Sites, and Superman homepage were awesome enough to help me make sure I truly understood the characters. We also had our friends from Team 4-Star back in the mix to voice the characters, which that was a good idea, by the way. In a fight that may have been a little too comedic for some viewers' taste, Blake Robson created a custom theme for this episode, which I believe was the first ever original music death battle ever had. End quote. So he's talking about, okay, in this paragraph, he is talking about how he went to multiple different sources of people that were experts in Dragon Ball, DC Comics, and all this stuff. And I've said before, you can't just go to these sources. Okay? Kaizenshu is a great source for Dragon Ball. But it's not enough. You got to do more than just that. Okay? And I don't know what the DAO of Dragon Ball is. I mean, I'm sure it's shortened for something, but you need to have more than that, basically. You got to have more than one sources. Mangas, obviously, guidebooks, other stuff. And, not just websites, okay? Not just websites. As we've shown before, you can't just have websites for this stuff. So, yeah. Not enough, in my opinion. But, Team 4-Star being the voices was cool, since you couldn't get Funimation, of course, to do the voices. So that was the next best thing. So, yeah. Okay, so now the next thing was, it was important to note that while these people were extremely helpful and instrumental in making the episode, the final decision of who would win the battle was entirely Screw Attack's call. End quote. Now that is important. I want people to understand that that is an important paragraph right there. Because he's basically saying, at the end of the day, it had nothing to do with any of the researchers, or it had nothing to do. So basically, let's use this for an example here. If someone from Kaizenshu, okay, that was involved in, the Goku versus Superman, and he said, Goku definitely 100% wins. And Screw Attack's like, no. Basically, he is disagreeing with them. So it's basically like that. And you know what is same thing with, Cartoon Fight Club, by the way. That is another thing that a lot of people don't understand about Cartoon Fight Club or Rewind Rumble, is just because we are researchers does not mean we have the final say. Animation Rewind still makes the decision regardless. We can definitely influence Animation Rewind, but that does not mean that we have, the final call. There's been times where AR has agreed with me on decisions, and there's times where AR has disagreed with me on decisions, and other researchers as well. But that is very important to say as well. Okay, so the next paragraph was, Goku vs. Superman was meant to air on December 21st, 2012, to tie into how the world was ending, because we reached the end of the millennial calendar, or whatever that whole crackpot theory was. That's actually funny. We even made a way to dramatically tease an announcement announcing it. We really wanted to promote this as an internet breaking event. We unfortunately had to delay it to get the animation field, or animation finished, I'm sorry. But when Goku vs. Superman finally premiered on January 19th, 2013, the internet certainly did break. And he's right about that, by the way. It did break. I do think it was kind of funny that he did try to get it on, the calendar, that whole mosaic thing or whatever that there was going on, which ended up being wrong. But they ended up getting it out. The world did not end because that was wrong. But, yeah. Okay, so let's get to the next paragraph here. As far as the episode itself goes, it is pretty epic. It's a pretty epic event. I still think there are plenty of problems with it, though. The calculations were a bit messy and presented as if Alvarin, there are a couple of on-screen typos which confused a lot of people. Our description and implementations of power scaling is misleading, and the episode is way too long with some awakened pacing, especially during the post-fight recap that just started to drag, but we covered a lot of good stuff. I'm still pretty proud of how much we were able to jam into the fight animation without it feeling too forced. From kryptonite to mind reading to the magic power pole and so on. Overall, given what we were working with, I liked what we did here. End quote. So he's basically talking about how the calculations were messy and there was typos and all this other stuff, which he's right about. There was a lot of miscalculations, Ben. We kind of knew this already. I wish you kind of admitted this in 2013 or 2012 when you first put the dang thing out. But it's good that you're kind of owning up to it now, at least to a certain extent. Yeah. So let's get to the next paragraph here. As people are still watching this and eager to see what more is. Like I said, guys, if you want to read up on this on your own time too, by the way, you can just go to that link in the description box and read it. Or just read it with me. Okay, so now they show an animation picture of Goku vs. Superman 2. And then let's get to the next paragraph. I can't say the same for... Oh, shit, wait. Oh, yeah, that is next. Okay. Okay, and quote, I can't say the same for Goku vs. Superman 2. You really can't, because that one was worse. I refrained from saying this previously because I know that without clarifying it, it would be easy for this to be taken out of context. But Goku vs. Superman 2 is my least favorite death battle we've ever done. Battle animations aside, of course, Tori did a phenomenal job. And yes, I will admit that. That is the one thing that was good about that battle was the animation was great. Everything else was shit. Tori did do a great job at that. Great animation by Tori. Though it's not really because of any particular contents of the episode itself, though like the original, its post-fight recap is also poorly paced. Rather, the biggest problem was that it was horrifically ill advertised, which yes, it was absolutely advertised so much that everyone was into it. Okay, everyone. I got duped into this. Okay, I'll admit that. But I do like that Ben Singer actually admitted that this was the worst death battle he did, which he's right. It was. Not for animation, but in terms of the research and all the other shit that they put on with it. Because the animation was the only thing that was good about this episode. Everything else was shit. So yeah. Good on you, Ben, for actually admitting that. You did good. You did good, buddy. You did good. You're probably not watching this right now, but if you are, you did a good job there admitting that. You know. Okay. So let's get to the next one. Let's get to the next paragraph here. Here's the thing, and quote, here's the thing. After Goku vs. Superman made its exploded debut, I had publicly mentioned how we cut around 20 minutes of the script to keep the episode at a watchable length. I didn't plan on making a sequel, but I had been brainstorming way to release that cut content. Later, Screw Attack manager at the time approached me about turning some of the removed script into another episode that would serve as an extension. He wanted it to be shown at our SGC event, which was coming up fast. I figured we could do that. It wouldn't require a lot of additional research outside of adding what little into concerning Super Saiyan God and New 52 was known at the time. So our comparatively short time frame wasn't a big issue. We had actually been giving a ton of requests to pit Superman against Super Saiyan God Goku. So it seemed like a good way to pull that off even while a little information was known concerning the form. End quote. Okay, so basically Ben Singer is admitting that Goku vs. Superman 2 was not supposed to be an actual new episode, but it was supposed to be deleted scenes from, or deleted script scenes from the previous episode, which also would explain why the animation was short and not as long as the original Goku vs. Superman. But it also proves my point that they didn't research shit on Goku vs. Superman 2 because they didn't, because Ben Singer just basically admitted that he didn't research anything new about the second fight. So that just invalidates the Goku vs. Superman again because they took it as a research fight, but yet they didn't research shit. So Ben Singer just admitted that the whole fight was a sham and was a cash grabber and was everything that every fan has been saying for years about the second fight. Yeah, thanks, Ben. You're a little couple years late on this one, but thanks for finally owning up to it. Okay. A little stress from that one. I cannot stress enough that Goku vs. Superman 2 was never meant to be a complete re-examination of the characters. Oh, do ya? It was only meant to be a continuation of the previous episode. Unfortunately, it was instead promoted as a straightforward, quote, rematch of legends, which definitely gave a lot of people the wrong impression. Yes, Ben, you think? It didn't help that I wrote a line in the fight where Goku literally challenged Superman to a rematch, which makes sense in the world of the fight itself, but misrepresented the episode's intense. There was also some confusion over whether or not we would be focusing exclusively on the new 52 Superman. I assume this came about due to the Superman model we used for the fight. Oh, no, Ben. It wasn't just the model. You know, you did also mention in your analysis that there was a solar flare, which is exclusive to the new 52 contents at the time, not the post-crisis contents. So, yeah, there's a little more to it than that, Ben Singer. Okay. Okay, so what's the next thing he said? I still remember the moment when I walked into SGC that year and was surprised to see Goku vs. Superman 2 advertised literally everywhere. Were you really surprised, Ben Singer? Were you? I mean, it was your most viewed episode up to that point. The first one was. It still is, by the way. Why would you really not think that the second death battle of Goku vs. Superman would not be advertised everywhere? Okay. The episode was hyped up to an extreme degree, and I didn't say or do anything to change this when I should have. What ended up happening was aimed to an untesticle and completely unnecessary kick in the nuts to Dragon Ball audiences. Kind of got that one right. I learned a lot from that experience. I think that was Death Battle's biggest turning point in its journey towards what it is today. So he's admitting that basically Goku vs. Superman was a bad idea. Goku vs. Superman 2 was a bad idea and really kind of screwed everybody over, you know, at SGC, which he's right. You know, everyone was rooting for Goku to win that fight, and they basically frigged everybody over on that one, especially since it wasn't supposed to be, as he's saying, you know, a rematch, even though they promoted it as a rematch and they advertised the new 52 continuity in the battle. See, there's even so many more problems with Ben Singer's statement here now than what we've been saying for years, because he's trying to say the confusion of the new 52 continuity, but then he's also saying this is supposed to be a continuation of Goku vs. Superman, the first one, when in reality it was not promoted that way. And he's trying to say, oh, I'm assuming it's because of the models, right? Or the new 52 model, but also in the continuity, you also said in the analysis that he had a solar flare, which that is only a part, or at the time was only a part of the new 52 continuity, not the post-crisis continuity. So I shouldn't even have mentioned that to begin with if this was just a continuation of the first fight, which it wasn't. But that was your intent, but obviously that's not what the result was. So yeah. Then he shows a picture of Goku about to get laser beamed by Superman in the brain. We all remember that stupid train wreck. Anyways, yesterday you all left some questions for me to answer. So let's get to those, shall we? There's a lot, so strap in. I'm not pulling any punches. End quote. Oh, really, Ben? Oh, really? we've been kind of waiting for these questions for a long time, so I'm ready to strap in over 9,000 buckles to understand the answers of the questions that you're about to ask, or the people are about to ask to you, and you're about to answer them. Because I've been waiting years for you to ask or answer these questions, which you have never done. So I'm very eager to hear the questions here, or the answers to these questions. So let's get it going, okay? As Ben Singer says, let's not pull any punches here, because I wouldn't be pulling any punches if I was asking these questions either. Okay, end quote. If you could go back in time and tell yourself what to do differently about Goku versus Superman, what would it be? End quote. Okay, so now here's the quote from Ben Singer. This is his answer. I say, wait. When this episode was greenlighted, the Dragon Ball franchise seemed like it wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. She's right on that. Then, halfway through the production, surprise! Battle of Gods was announced, along with a new super form. It's very extensive, would essentially delong this death battle before it was even out. Plus, if we had waited, I would have developed further experience presenting a more serious examination, and could have probably written a clever analysis that was easier for all our viewers to accept. I think this Goku vs. Superman episode in particular would have benefited from coming later in Death Battle history, though I'm not sure how that would have affected Death Battle as a whole. The episode was pretty intangible to getting us where we were today, to where we are today, end quote. Now, there's some things in there that he's right about. There's some things that he's wrong about in this. He is right that he should have waited, especially when Battle of Gods was announced. Even if he was halfway through the production of the battle, he should have waited to see what was going on in Goku or in Battle of Gods. See, maybe there was a new enhancement for the production of the movie, and see if there was new things that were going to benefit Goku in this battle. Absolutely should. And this also applies to Superman too, because he also mentioned that there was a Superman film that was coming out too. Early in this passage. He should have definitely waited for all the continuities to come out, so we could have had a more battle. And he talks about Death Battle benefited from Goku vs. Superman 1. It's still to this day their most watched video ever. But the thing is, it would have been even more better had he waited at least for Battle of Gods, because then at least it would have been a more concrete episode than it would have. Now, of course, that doesn't mean he would have changed his decision, but who knows? Some of the stuff he's sort of right about, but most of it he's wrong about on the way he handled it. He could have waited at least until the 50th episode to do the first Goku vs. Superman episode, which may have been a little better than the 25th, but who knows? Let's get to the next question that was asked. Quote, will Goku ever get another matchup? End quote. And this was Ben Singer's answer. Quote, I love to bring Goku back. And that was in a yelling point, by the way. Doing episodes with returning characters is always kind of iffy, in that some people may see it as one less chance for a character they want to see in a death battle. I usually base it on whether or not there are a lot of demands to see the character again. Now, that's a fair statement, because if the character's not that popular or is not requested, why bring him in? Because there ain't going to be that many views for him. So That's a fair answer from Ben Singer. That is a fair answer from Ben Singer. You know, we see returning characters all the time. You know, I mean, not all the time, but some of the times we see them because those characters are very popular. Batman has come back Batman has been in a death battle 3 times because Batman is a very popular character. You know, that's what happens, and if the demand's there, then I can definitely understand that. Now, having said that, the fact that Goku hasn't been back in a death battle other than the rematch of Goku versus Superman is primarily due to the fact that I don't think they want to touch Goku, because Goku, you know, if Goku loses again, people will say that they're biased, which for the most part they are. But that's the thing, and that's why I don't think Goku has been back, because I know for a fact Goku has been highly demanded to come back to Death Battle. Goku vs. Superman 3, Goku vs. Saitama, obviously. Sadly, Goku versus Naruto, which is kind of dumb, but you get what I'm saying. There's been a lot of requests for Goku. But that was a fair answer from Ben Singer. Okay. So, now we're going to get into an important question about Superman here that I'm sure a lot of people have been wanting for a long time to have been answered. So here we go. Quote, "Your reason for Superman's victory is a no-limit fallacy. That's not a good enough argument," end quote. Now, let's get to Ben Singer's answer. Quote, "For the unaware, a no-limit fallacy is the concept that when a character accelerates the limits are not known, and it's implied or stated that they are capable of farther greater feats than what is shown, then the character is deemed to have a no limit whatsoever, despite the fact that it is possible that they exist or they extinct and we just never seen them. This is true of the episode argument to an extent, although it is supported by official material, such as Superman 1,000,000, and I'm going to get to that in a second. Back in the Link versus Cloud blog, I'll have to read that later, I mentioned how the 4th death battle rule at the time was problematic in that it allows characters potentially to rampage through non-canon source material with little to no restrictions. While it didn't affect many episodes at the time, it certainly affected this one, you think? I absolutely understand why some people contested this episode's argument, as the rule and proceeds of Death Battle at the time isn't exactly what most people explanated, particularly those the Versus community, which has developed its own rule, which Death Battle was entirely different from. Again, early Death Battles was more of an interpretation process using logic rather than a scientifical one using numbers and statistics. Given how Death Battle was structured at the time, examining the core of their characters' purposes seemed like the right call. The show rules have changed since then, so I'm not sure if we present this kind of argument for any of today's matchups, end quote. Okay, that's a lot to take in, first and foremost. That's a mouthful. Okay, so first of all, Superman 1,000,000, okay, if we're talking about Superman Prime 1,000,000, he's not limitless. Okay, that's been debunked. Superman Prime 1,000,000's feats have been debunked for a long time now. So again, using that argument is pretty vague by Ben Singer. Now he talks about some of the rule of the non-canon material, which that was a flawed rule. which they don't, I guess, have that rule anymore in the current death battle structure of rules. But that still doesn't ignore the fact of the old death battles, like Goku versus Superman, which, as he said, highly, depicted the outcome here. Now, again, he's just taking the word of the scans and logics, which, he talks about how he didn't use scientific and numbers, and that's what I believe he's saying, because early on he said death battle was more about interpreting the process using logic rather than scientific. Now, here's my problem with that statement. They did use scientific stuff, and they also did use numbers, and they did use statistic, and particularly in this death battle. They used that. I mean, they did logic as they did use real world logic too, but there were also battles in this old death battle structure that he's talking about where they did also use science and numbers as well. I mean, I don't know where he's getting this from because he did use this stuff. He did use real world logic, for this stuff. So I don't understand where Ben Singer is coming from with this answer. It seems like he's trying to work around the question, because he's talking about stuff that he used back then, but then also saying that he didn't use this stuff, which he did for other battles. Like, there were battles where he used this, and there were other battles where he didn't do that. So to me, he's kind of just working around the question. Okay, so I'm just gonna get some water here, guys. Okay. All right. So that's a big problem. Okay, because again, he is working around the question here. And talking about what they're doing now and talking about what they've done in the past. But then also saying they didn't use scientific methods, which that's not true. He did that for Donkey Kong, which I agreed with that battle, by the way. Donkey Kong versus Knuckles. He mentioned multiple things. I mean, there's so many different examples of him using scientific stuff. So I definitely highly disagree with his answer here, because he didn't really kind of give an actual answer. He kind of just walked around the answer. Once again, going back to using a Superman 1 million, which Superman 1 million's feats have been debunked. So if he's talking about Superman 1 million, Superman Prime 1 million with all the wank feats, then I would say this answer has been invalidated. So yeah, that's my take on this answer that he has answered here. So let's get to the next question he had said. All right. So the next question he had said, or next question that was asked was, and quote, Superman may get infinite strength under the sun, but that takes time. So couldn't Goku kill him before then? End quote. Now here's Ben Singer's answer. Quote, covering this was one of the biggest reasons why I was convinced to do Goku vs. Superman 2. Really? Yeah. Really, Ben Singer? Because in your earlier summary, you had said Goku versus Superman 2 was done due to the fact that it was supposed to be a continuation of Goku versus Superman 2 or Goku versus Superman 1. That was what you said earlier in this passage, and now in this answer, you're saying this is one of the biggest reasons why I decided to do Goku versus Superman 2, when yet you said early on in this paragraph or essay or whatever, you said that Goku vs. Superman 2 was done due to the fact that you wanted to do a 20-minute extra clip of the original Goku vs. Superman script that was cut. That is what you said, Bensinger. So this statement, this opening sentence you said in this question is actually a hypocritical statement that you just said. Because you just said that early on that Goku vs. Superman 2 was just supposed to be a continuation, not supposed to be an actual rematch of, like, you know, a new battle. And now in this answer, you're saying a completely different statement. So which is it, Ben? So let's get to more of this. Thanks to Superman abusing our fourth rule at the time, and extremely important reason for why we decided Superman could reach whatever power he wanted was how he could always fly to any star in any galaxy to power up for as long as he wanted. If Goku used instant transmission to find him, he couldn't stick around forever because he can't breathe in space, and Superman could just go find another star. That isn't exactly true. Though Goku cannot breathe in actual space, he can somewhat breathe in space because he has to be near a planet, but it has been shown that Goku can breathe in space, he just can't fly in space. Like, if he's right near the Earth, he can breathe. Like, because we've seen that in Battle of Gods, where he's basically fighting Goku, or Goku was basically fighting Beerus on the like in space. Like, he's not in a vacuum, but he's still, like, in space. He is still in outer space. You can see planet Earth. You can literally see planet Earth. Like, so you cannot say that Goku cannot breathe in space. Okay? He just can't, like, fly in space. Like, long distance and stuff like that. He can fight in space, though, as long as he's near a planet. Even if Goku could keep up... Okay, so now let's get back to this answer. Even if Goku could keep up, he eternally would run out of energy while Superman would be actively gaining solar energy. This is an exact example of how we provided the logical explanation over scientific calculations back then. I wish we had covered this better in both episodes. And yeah, it sounds pretty lame, but which is why it doesn't happen in either fight animations. Could you imagine how boring that could be? So again, we find another statement that he says that implies from his early answer, where he says we didn't use that much scientific methods back then, which here he says they do, which he's right. They did use scientific methods back then. But in his last answer for the no limit fallacy, he said, no, we didn't use scientific methods back then. So which is it? Also, he talks about how even if Goku could keep up, which he can, by the way, his energy could run out. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Bensinger, but didn't you allow Goku to have sensu? Sorry about that. Didn't you allow correct me if I'm wrong, Bensinger, didn't you allow Goku to have sensu beams in the first Goku versus Superman? Am I wrong about that, or did that not happen? Okay, so if he had sensu beams on him, which, let's be realistic, if Goku had sensu beams on him, okay, he would have a bundle of them. them because, I mean, usually corn gives him like a whole bag full of senzu beans. So, for argument's sake, he probably has about 25 senzu beans. Okay, so if you're going to say he's going to run out of energy, he could just take one of those senzu beams and just heal himself up. Which you can't say that he couldn't use senzu beams in this death battle because he was depicted with them in the death battle. And that's why I'm using this argument, since that's what we are referring to here. So if you want to use the energy argument, then, well, Goku wouldn't run out of energy because you'd have senzu beams on him. Like, also, it would take a while for Goku to run out of energy. Also, like, Superman would have to be powered up by the sun to get more energy. So, you know, there's that factor as well. So, yeah, this answer is totally wrong and somewhat hypocritical in some shape or fashion. So, yeah. Not believing you there, Ben. Sorry. Can't believe you on everything. So let's get to the next question. Okay. Like I said, guys, the link is in the description box, and you guys can read it either on your own time or just, read with me, because I'm basically reading it in order. I'm reading everything in order that came out of this. So let's get to this. What was the next question? Okay, so the next question was, and quote, what do you think about the feats you used to support Superman's victory, which has been debunked by others? End quote. All right, so I can't wait to see this. Maybe he mentions Animation Rewind on this, or maybe not. He won't, but I just, I did the way the question was. I don't think that that's how the question was worded. I just think that's how Ben typed it in, or just put it in there, because I'm sure there were other. I'm sure there were questions where people mentioned Cartoon Fight Club or other shows too. Okay, end quote. Well, I'm sure there are plenty of feats we showcased which could be justifiably argued against, especially for season 1 and 2. In some cases, there will be an element of subjection when it comes to interpreting feats. For example, there's a feat where Superman lifts a book of infinite pages. Oh, God, I can't wait to see where he goes with this one. Occupying the same space which covers every story ever written in past and future. Ultraman, he took that from Animation Rewind, by the way. Ultraman, who essentially Superman equals, read the last page of this book. But if the book had infinite pages, how can this be a last page? Question mark. Well, either you consider the previous statement made about the book to being false, or Ultraman is so powerful he can read pages infinite. However the hell that works, because Death Battle deals with so many ridiculous, powerful, and physical breaking characters, there will be plenty of feats that everyone will interpret differently. That's one of the reasons why I'm glad the current Death Battle analysis discussions involve so many people these days, as opposed to how it was mostly just me before we joined Rooster Teeth. If this feat were put through the Death Battle ringer today, perhaps we would greatly guard it differently. But generally, I try to give a character and their feats the benefit of the doubt, and essentially them at the minimum potential, and then see if it fits with what else the character has accomplished. End quote. That is interesting. Okay, that is interesting. Answer here, and I'm gonna just dive through this answer right now, because this needs most of my attention. First, let's get into the first half of this question about the Book of Infinite Pages that he used as an example. First of all, I know he got that from Animation Rewind, because Animation Rewind was the first person who brought this up. But let's just dive into it. Okay, so he said, oh, well, the Book of Infinite Pages, Ultraman, he finally acknowledges, first and foremost, he finally acknowledges that Ultraman read the, last page of the Book of Infinite Pages. Okay, and he talks about how it depicts on how you look at it. But he says that Superman and Ultraman are kind of equals, which I would say no, because Superman didn't read the last page, which he conveniently doesn't put that in here. That Superman did not read, or wasn't able to read, or was failed to lift the book. And like I said, the Book of Infinite Pages is not infinite because Ultraman read the last book, as it's been proven. Now, he comes in and says, oh, well, it just depends on how you depict it. And, he even talks about how if this feat was applied today in the new death battle system, that we probably not use it. But back then, he wanted to give the feats the benefit of the doubt. So basically, he is basically admitting that most of his feats were incorrect. That is basically what he is saying. Because if he's giving feats the benefit of the doubt without further investigating them, then that just tells you he's just doing ABC logic. Because if he's just basically saying, oh, well, Superman, he did this whole thing with the Book of Infinite Pages, so he must be infinite. But not applying like the stuff from Ultraman or the fact that Ultraman read the last page. He didn't apply that. So how are we supposed to take your word if you're basically just saying that, oh, we're just taking the benefit of the doubt of the feats? If Book of Infinite Pages, if it's real, that's the Book of Infinite Pages. It's got to be truthful. You know what I'm saying? So doesn't make sense. And again, he just kind of talks around it really for these questions. He's trying to what Ben Singer is trying to do here. Now some of the questions, he kind of gives a reasonable and a rational explanation, but some of these questions that he's answering, he's kind of doing it in a non-political way. He's doing it where he doesn't want to upset people, but he also wants to, kind of give excuses for some stuff that has come up on other Versus series, like Animation Rewind and Cartoon Fight Club, and kind of, address it, which is why he mentions the Book of Infinite Pages, because this feat has been widely debunked already. Ever since Animation Rewind debunked it on his first Goku vs. Superman, everyone has been using it now. And so Ben Singer has to now talk about it. So that's why I think he brought this up, because it was something where he could easily just, talk about how, oh, it depends on how you depict the feats and whatnot. So that's my take on the way he answered this one. But he also says that if it was applied today, it probably wouldn't be used that way, or it'd be greatly different. It'd be greatly different. Who knows how he'd apply it today. Now I'm actually interested to see him do a Superman death battle again. Not necessarily with Goku, but now I'm interested to see that, if he would apply that stupid feat again. Because he's claiming that, oh, it might not be applied today, I'm actually interested to see if he would actually do it, because I hate Superman, but I would actually like to see if he'd actually apply that feat again. Or if he'd actually do it different like he is saying in this passage. So yeah, that statement is completely like false. I mean, he does acknowledge, the stuff of Ultraman, but he kind of just twirls it around and basically says, it depends on how you apply it. Not trying to say that he's wrong, but he is saying he's wrong, basically. um, but just kind of giving a political answer on it is what he's basically doing here. Got to do a lot of drinking here, or juice. Got some apple juice on me, actually, now. Because, it's a lot of talking doing this. Okay. Oh my God, we got to get to this one next. Oh, the next question. Oh, I've been waiting for this one for years. I've been waiting for this explanation. I'm just gonna love what he says for this one. Just love it. Just gonna love whatever answer he gives for this one, because I've been waiting years for this one to be answered. And quotes. How did you guys come up with the gravula formula? End quotes. Oh my God! I gotta get another drink of some juice here, guys. Gotta get another drink of apple juice. Okay. Gotta get this all special for this answer. Gotta get it all special for this answer. Okay. Okay. So here we go. End quote. While digging through Goku's analysis on a variety of versus forms, so he's basically admitting that he's going on forums to find out information, which isn't the best idea on how to do research, by the way. I noticed that they all have one thing in common. Their methods for determining Goku's full potential were all incredibly different. What does that mean? That's because of power levels, but according to you, power levels are bullshit. So, all right, let's just get to the rest of his answer. It seems nobody could agree on how correctly measured Goku's power level at the end of the series, and for good reason. Goku's power and limits are fairly inconsistent. Not nearly as dramatic as in the case of Superman, or as in Superman's case. But it's still an issue I ran into. A lot of these form arguments were talking about some incredible, overcomplicated method in order to get an estimated number, which seems to be a recurring issue. So I initially tried to bolt it down to something as simple as possible, with an objective of finding ballpark, essentially, rather than exact figure. I assumed this would be the safest bet. You were wrong on that one. Just saying. Whether or not it was the right move, it's up to you. It was the wrong move. What sold me on the gravia formula was, of all things, the flying nimbus. So the gravia formula was formed because of the flying nimbus. What the fuck, Ben Singer? Excuse my French. The flying nimbus is one of the fewest things in Dragon Ball universe which has a known top speed. Why? Why? The flying nimbus is one of the fewest things in the Dragon Ball universe which is a known top speed. It marches 1.5 according to the Daijenshu, I'm sorry, based on the gravity formula and our calculations of the 24-hour snake wave feats, which has been debunked. It appears Goku's top speed at his peak before training with King Kai would have been right around the Nimbus top speed, and after his training, he far surpassed it. There's so many problems with that answer. I don't even. Okay, so Goku. Okay, Goku in Dragon Ball Z, Raditz was faster than the Flying Nimbus. Okay, I don't know when Goku officially learned how to fly because it's never really explained. I mean, we never really learned how people learned how to fly until Gohan when he trained Videl. But I can tell you right now with certainty that Goku was faster than the Flying Nimbus before he trained with King Kai. Okay. And you want to know why I know that? Because even though Goku never really used his ability to fly until after he trained with King Kai, really, because he used the Flying Nimbus to go find Raditz when he tried to save his son. Piccolo was flying. If you guys remember that, Piccolo was flying. Okay, Piccolo was flying. So at that time, you could argue that Piccolo probably knew how to fly faster than Goku did because Goku wasn't flying. And he even said that, well, Piccolo, or even Piccolo said to Goku, well, why are you using the flying? Why are you still using that? So, I mean, you could even argue that maybe Piccolo was faster than Goku when they fought Raditz, at the time because, Goku wasn't flying. He wasn't using the flying ability yet, which he could have. He certainly could have, but he didn't. He decided to still use the Flying Nimbus. So there's just so many things wrong with this already that I'm not liking. But then again, I didn't expect anything less from Ben. I mean, I wasn't expecting a groundbreaking answer here. Where was I? Passed it. Okay. Turns out the last time Goku ever specifically relied on the Flying Nimbus speed was when he was in a hurry, was around this time in the story, and from then on his preferred his own flight ability over it. It seems like a perfect fit, and I wish we had mentioned that in the episode because it may have helped present the gravity formula better. Not really, actually it would have made it worse. As it is, a lot of people misinterpreted how the gravity formula worked, especially in regards to Goku's strength, which we appeared to undersell a lot when we should have been more clear about how his ki is affected. No. That's not what the gravity formula fatal about, and that's what, again, Ben Singer doesn't seem to understand. The reason why the gravity formula whole system didn't work was for the simple fact that Goku's speed consistently got faster throughout the series. All Ben Singer did was basically applied the speed from Snake Wave's feet and then just applied it with the Super Saiyan multiplications. And that would be his speed for, you know, once you got the Super Saiyan 4, since they use Super Saiyan 4. Problem is, can't do that because his speed consistently got faster as the series went on. So now knowing that you use the flying Nimbus to apply it, even though you didn't mention in the episode, as you noted in this question or answer here, you saying that made this actually worse, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but that made it worse for me because that just makes it seem stupider to me. That he would take an account of a cloud's top speed, flying Nimbus's top speed, and Snake Way, and then apply it to, you know, his Super Saiyan multiplications for his top-notch speed. That seems pretty stupid, actually, and that actually, to me, makes your gravity formula even more utterly shit than I actually thought it was before I read this. So thanks, Ben, for making me think your gravity formula sucks even worse. Not really an answer I was looking for, but at least we got a little more clarification on what the stupid gravity formula represented. Because I've been waiting for that answer for years on what the frig the gravity formula was, on why he did it. Your guess is as good as mine. So yeah. What's the next question? What's the next question? What's the next question? Because that question was stupid, or that answer was stupid. Like, that was probably the worst answer Ben Singer has said so far, because he just made that worse. Like, he just made that whole gravity formula thing worse by answering that question. It was better off. I guess it was better off as a mystery, because I actually think that whole gravity formula shit is worse. Now that he said it was because of the flying Nimbus. Now that he has said that it was made for the flying Nimbus, or was made because of the flying Nimbus, I actually hate it even more now. But I mean, at least we got some clarification. I mean, it's not what I really thought I was gonna get, but at least we somewhat know why the gravity formula is fucking stupid. So, excuse my French as I take another drink of juice, because my mouth is throbbing from talking this long. Okay. Okay. Next question. Quote, I will always argue that you shouldn't have applied Pokemon type physics to blank act, because that's not how his electricity works compared to, end quote. Okay, I don't even understand this. I don't even know how this got in here. Why is a Pokemon question in a Goku versus Superman blog? Wait, or this is a quote from Ben Singer. Wait, this isn't a Goku or Superman question, ... Oh, it actually is about yesterday's blog. Nice. And yes, I agree with you. So the type of comparison elements haven't held quite as much stock in the debate for our other Pokemon-related episodes, outside the Battle Royale, of course. I don't know how I feel about this question getting in the Goku vs. Superman blog. I mean, Ben was kind of funny about it, but I mean, it's just kind of weird that this question got in. I'm curious of how these blogs get established in terms of how they answer the question. Like, do they put like a blog up ahead of time that, you know, Ben will take questions for this blog, you know, that's coming up for this Death Battle episode? I'm curious how this works exactly now, especially since this question was asked in a Goku versus Superman blog. Not sure about that. Okay, so let's get to the next question, I guess. I did say I was going to read every question, so I had to read it, guys. You know, I'm reading everything in order. So, quote, So maybe Superman beats Goku when you composite them like you did, but can't Goku defeat other versions of Superman? End quote. So here we go, guys. This is the mother of all questions here. This is the question everybody wants to know since they use composite Superman. So can we drum roll this? Can we drum roll this? We're gonna drum roll this question here. No. We gotta drum roll this. We gotta drum roll this. I mean, this is like the mother of all questions here. We've been waiting for this. We got now it's a composite Superman finally. So let's do this. Okay. All right, here we go. Quote from Ben Singer. I don't see why not. If we cherry picked different incarnations of Goku and Superman, I'm sure there would be plenty of specific matchups where Goku would come on top. For example, I'll be really surprised if the Superman from the mid-90s animated version could stand up to Goku in Dragon Ball Z. I'd say this could apply to most of the matchups we've done. However, Death Battle doesn't usually force on specific incarnations like that. Bullshit. Aside from some very particular matchups, I prefer to avoid the selected error approach because it involves a lot of additional personal choices from our part that would affect the fight, unintentionally or not. Also, I believe it would usually just leave more questions than answers. This is something that has pretty much always been the case for Death Battle. End quote. Bullshit. That's what I say about that. This whole answer, with the exception of the first sentence, is pretty much bullshit. Because there are many battles where you did not use composites, and even when you do, it's illogical because they're not the same characters. Like, if we used the early Golden Age Superman, obviously Goku would kick his freaking ass because he's the weakest Superman ever. And he was the original Superman, by the way, but he was the weakest Superman at the time, too. He's the weakest Superman, but he was the first Superman, so, you know, it improved him over the years. Now, the 90s anime universe, I'm curious to... it's got to be a TV series because it says animated universe. I don't know if he's talking about a movie or if he's talking about like a cartoon series. I'm not sure if he's talking about the animated series. Is he talking about the? I don't think the animated series was in the 90s, was it? Or yeah, it was. Never mind. It was. Yeah, it was. Never mind. I take that back. It was in the 90s. I was thinking it was in the early 2000s for some reason. Never mind that. So yeah, he is talking about the animated Superman. He is talking about the animated Superman. But he is talking about additional information. Like, so again, we're not getting a clear-cut answer here because here's the thing. Here's the thing about this. Goku has one continuity for pretty much the most part, unless you use the alternate timeline of, I guess, GT, which is non-canon, or Dragon Ball Super now, which is now canon, of course. Then I guess you can go into that whole debate. But for the most part, Goku really only has one character. Superman has multiple different characters. He has a multiversal characters of himself. New 52 Superman, the post-Crisis Superman, they're different Supermans. The movie Superman is a different Superman. The animated series Superman is a different Superman. The Golden Age Superman is a different Superman. The Silver Age Superman is a different. They are all different Supermans. They are not the same Superman. They are different characters, different continuities. This is why composite doesn't work. And this is why we try to explain this. And, I mean, let's be real right now, okay? Let's just be real right now. Since they've used Marvel and DC characters in pretty much a lot of their death battles. Let's be serious right now. Who other than Superman has had a composite? Okay? I mean, there's probably been a few, but not many. Not many. Okay? They recently did Captain Marvel versus Android 18, right? Which I agree that Android 18 should win that fight. A lot of people thought Captain Marvel should win, especially if they used composites of Captain Marvel. But she didn't win. So, they didn't really use composites for Captain Marvel, but Captain Marvel still lost to Android 18. Now, Android 18 is a much weaker fighter compared to Goku. Let's be serious right now. Okay, now Captain Marvel is probably... I'm talking about the woman Captain Marvel, by the way, if anyone is confused right now from the Marvel Universe. Let's be serious right now. Okay, if Captain Marvel was composited with all, you know, I guess 40, 50 years of her continuity, okay, you know, and we used everything from her, could she then beat him? Could she beat them, you know, or if we apply different versions, 18 could beat Captain Marvel. See, this is the problem. This is the problem with Death Battle, is they pick and choose what's going to get composite, what's not going to get composite. And, you know, with Superman, he's pretty much the only DC or Marvel character that had gotten massive composites. They claim they don't use stuff from, you know, past, because they even said that in their episode, their first episode. They said that they weren't going to follow the pre-crisis continuity, right? You know, nothing before like the 1984 or whatever, you know, reboots or whatever. That's what they were going to use. They were never going to touch anything else before that. Yet they used multiple different continuities and also mentioned stuff from other Supermans before 1984. And even in the rematch, they did that as well. So again, this is where, again, this answer is kind of more political than it is actual factual. And that's the biggest problem. The only thing that I take out of this entire question, this entire answer here from this question, is that he admits that, yes, there are incarnations of Goku that can beat Superman, which is what we've been saying for years. And this is what I've been waiting for Ben Singer to say for years and to admit. I never thought I would even get this. And the fact that I actually got that, even if it wasn't a stupid, condescending answer, I'm still satisfied that he can actually say that Goku can beat Superman in different versions. The fact that he actually admitted that. So for that, I will, probably the only time I'll ever give Ben Singer a round of applause for actually admitting that Goku can beat Superman. I am going to actually give this man a round of applause for once. Real clap. Only one person clap. Okay. I'm going to give him a round of applause for that, because I never thought Ben would actually have the balls to admit this. I never thought he would admit this, period. And he actually did. So for that, we'll give you a round of applause. For being, after, how many years has it been? 5 years? 5, 6, after 6 years. 6 years of waiting for you to actually give me the answer that you just gave me. I'll give you a round of applause for that. Definitely have more respect for Ben Singer now that he actually owned up to it. Finally. Took took him long enough, but at least he admitted it. At least he admitted it. Well, at least he admitted somewhat that Goku can beat some versions of Superman. I mean, I don't think just the 90s anime series is enough. I think he can beat the New 52. I think he can beat Post-Crisis, which obviously he doesn't think so, but, yeah. At least he admitted something. At least he admitted something, people. Okay. So the next question is more or less about the future of, I guess, Death Battle, Goku vs. Superman. And quotes, question, with Dragon Ball Super and Ultimate Instinct. Now, this is from Dragon Ball Super. I have not gotten to the Ultimate Instinct form, so I don't really know that much about the Ultimate Instinct yet. Hopefully, I'll learn about it soon whenever Toonami decides to get to that point. But yeah. Do you think Goku, or let's get back to this. With Dragon Ball Super and Ultimate Instinct, do you think Goku vs. Superman 3 would be worth doing? End quote. All right, so here we go. Quotes from Ben Singer. Maybe, given how much Death Battle has changed, I honestly do have an itch to reimagine this matchup with our new methods. I know there's a vocal statement of the Dragon Ball community that wouldn't trust us with Goku ever again. You're right. And given what happened with Goku vs. Superman 2, I totally get this. Still, with nearly 8 years of experience and the experts of Rooster Teeth at our backs, I think we could do a much better job now of representing a more acceptable argument regardless of which character wins. I probably wouldn't ever want to consider as number 3, quotes, since it would be an entirely new look as opposed to a continuation like Goku vs. Superman 2 was supposed to be. Frankly, I think it's up to you guys. If you want to see it, it will. If you want to see it, we'll do it. Oh my God, or end quote. Oh my God, Ben Singer. Obviously, everyone wants to see another Goku vs. Superman. I mean, everyone's still commenting it to this day. Like, that's such a dumb way to end that question. Because like, it's kind of obvious that everyone wants a Goku vs. Superman 3. I mean, I don't, because I know they will screw it up. Despite whatever Ben Singer says in this answer, I know he'll screw it up. I don't trust you at all when it comes to Goku vs. Superman. No. No, I don't think it's needed, but I'm almost certain there are people that are still to this day asking for one. And that's why they answered, and that's why the person asked this question, because they do want to see it again. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Personally, I don't want to see it again because I know they will screw it up. Okay, I know they will screw something royally up if they do it again. But I can see it happening again, having said that. Especially the way he ended this answer. Say it's up to us. If you want to see it, we'll do it. Then after that, they show a picture of Super Saiyan 4 Goku in the first Goku vs. Superman punching Superman. Sun exhort Superman. Then after that, he goes on, quote, this covers that. If a question you posted yesterday wasn't a specific answer, it's probably addressed it by a different question or earlier in this blog. When it comes down to it, Goku vs. Superman was easily one of the most important episodes we've ever done, and it always will be. End quote. Thank you for reading. Because of RTX coming up and a super secret project I was working on last week, which we'll reveal at RTX. Hint. I unfortunately don't have time to write specific blogs for this Thursday or Friday. I'll be picking up the Road to 100 back up on Monday, the 6th, as I drive into season 2. If you like to keep updates on when these blogs are posted, feel free to follow me on Twitter. Talk to you later, Ben B. Singer. And then he's got a PS. PS. Would you want, or PS quote, would you want to see a Goku versus Superman get another shot? Or is there a different matchup for Goku you would prefer? End quote. Wow, Ben Singer, way to just pun that right in there at the end. You mean it didn't get enough from the question. You just had to pun that one right in there. As I said earlier, I personally don't think Goku versus Superman should fight again, but because I don't trust Ben Singer. Two, I just don't trust them regardless. Regardless of who's doing it now or who's operating it. I know Ben is not the only guy in there, and they still have the research team that they originally had, but they have other people too. But I personally wouldn't want to see it again. And even in this format, they've screwed some fights up. So, no, I wouldn't want to see it again because I know you guys would screw it up. But I almost guarantee there are going to be a lot of people that are going to look at this and want to see it and think because of this and because of the way his answer was answered last, I'm sure a lot of people are going to assume that Goku vs. Superman 3 is going to happen the way he put it out there. As for different matchups for Goku, I'm not sure. I mean, I know a lot of people ask for Saitama. Naruto would be a stomp. If they did Goku versus Naruto, that'd be really stupid, honestly, if they did do it. But if they did Goku versus One Punch Man, it would be stupid anyways. Goku would stomp. Yeah. I don't know. But, I have a feeling they're going to do Goku versus Superman 3 at some point. I can't prove that, but I do think that they're going to do, especially the way they hinted at all this shit now. I think they're going to, but who knows? But that was the end. That was the end of it. That was the end of the answers, questions, or for Ben. That was basically the end of his blog. Well, that was a mouthful. They've been bringing Dragon Ball characters back. They brought back, they brought, what was it, not brought back, but they had 18 versus Captain Marvel, which was actually right, but executed incorrectly because they said that they said, Android 18 absorbs energy, she absorbs energy, and that was bullshit. And that was under the new formation, by the way. So you can't, because throughout this whole passage or this blog, he was talking about how the format is completely different now, right? He was talking about how the format is completely different now, but here's the thing that he ignores. Android 18 versus Captain Marvel was done under the new format, and yet they still somehow got Android 18 wrong and said that she absorbs energy. So you can't really justify that you screw up Dragon Ball Z characters when you did that on the new format as well, too, Ben Singer. So, basically what I'm getting at here, or what Ben was getting at, was that most of his answers were typical political answers, or they were answers that, try to walk around the stuff, or he tried to justify death battles show now compared to what it was back then, because back then the rules were different. You know, he wanted to talk about that, which I think is kind of just a cop out, you know, saying, oh, well, you know, our rules are different now. It would be different than it was back then. Like, that's not a real reason to, you know, justify that, you know, but and he should then, by that logic, I think should go back and do all the death battles over again if that's the case. Overall, I will say this. Some of the questions he said, you know, getting into some of the stuff that I've been waiting for him to say for a long time, and he's never answered. Like I said, the best one was obviously him actually saying that Goku could beat other versions of Superman. That was definitely the best one he had said, for sure. No question about it. The gravity formula question was pretty stupid. It was a pretty stupid answer and probably was better left unsaid, because I got more out of nothing from that. I got worse out of that than better from the gravity formula logic. So never really gave me a good answer on that one. And probably it was better for him to just leave that as is. I'm not sure why he answered a Pokemon question on here. Like I said, I'm not sure how the blog thing works here. But I just think that was kind of weird. Like I said, you know, he acknowledged the Book of Infinite Pages, but at the same time, he doesn't really mention, you know, a reasonable explanation. He just kind of says, oh, well, you know, based on the way you interpret it. So, I mean, that could be literally interpreted by any versus debater. So, kind of, you know, and then he crutches himself with the 1 million guy. But, you know, there were some good answers he gave in here. You know, the one thing I really wanted to hear was him say that Goku can beat Superman. And he said it. Even if it isn't the Superman that I'm thinking of, because I know it's the Superman. I know he doesn't think post-crisis Superman can beat Goku, but at least he admits that Goku can beat other versions of Superman. That's the most important thing about this blog, I think, in this entire blog, that he said. Like I said, you guys can go read it yourself. I put the source in the description, or his blog in the description. And you can interpret it whatever way you want. I've kind of explained how I've interpreted it. But that's about it, guys. That's really all I have to say about this. Overall, it's an okay blog. It was an okay blog, but some things he said in it were wrong. But there were some things in there that were good, answers. But, it is what it is. And it does close the chapter, I think, for me at least. For me at least, it kind of closes the chapter on Goku versus Superman. Really, I've not been really covering death battle stuff anymore anyways. But it kind of closes the chapter, I think, for me. Whether or not they do another Goku versus Superman or another Goku death battle, that's up to them, I guess, or the fans, as he put it. But it kind of closes the chapter on me because he did admit that Goku can beat Superman. So that's all I wanted to hear. And I heard it. I didn't hear it, but I read it from his words. So that's good enough for me. And so let me know what you guys think about this. Comment, rate. If you like this video, my videos, please subscribe. And that's about it, guys. I'm the SS Ultimate Goku, and I'm out of here. Peace.